Hello there. I am so glad that you're here tonight because I'm going to tell you what, I am having the best and most interesting day. I have a friend who is on with me tonight that I think is really awesome. And it is not Rick McCullum. I know that's what most people expect when I say, I've got a friend coming on with me tonight. But I have a lot of friends. And I really think this is somebody that you're going to enjoy so much because she doesn't get here all the time. And she is so fun. And she's actually very serious, but man, is she cool. She's a nurse. She is a psychic and a medium. She is an animal whisperer. Trust me. This is who helped Heidi and Tipper when they were first here and all wiggy and stuff. Um, she is somebody that I have a lot of respect for. She is a brilliant author. She has written so many books, but she has a new one out, and it is about her. But she is so cool. She's a medium. She's a psychic. She's a um, been on television and radio. She is somebody that I think probably blew Zach Bagan's mind. So she has been on his show. And I just want to bring her in for you because Jean Lundgren is special and you're gonna love this. So hello there.
Hey there.
How are you doing?
Um,
Besides being tired and jet lagged and all the
yeah, I'm doing
things.
good other than that. Yeah.
How long were you over there? I didn't ask you that when we were
A couple
talking.
of weeks. A couple of weeks. I was in the UK a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you do?
Visiting family and friends, and went to Cambridge University. I'd never been there before, and of course, I never have a regular vacation. It's usually a busman's holiday. Removed a couple of
Yes.
demons while I was there, and went to the beach, things like that, and just all over. Did a lot of things. I went to. Oh, I
I
must
bet
say,
those.
I went to the main uh, a cemetery in London. Heath, I think it's called Heath Bridge or
Mhm.
something like that, and spoke to a few people, dead people, that is, over there. It was quite interesting. Took a tour. It was quite interesting.
Well, who did you encounter in their cemetery?
One of them was George Michael. It's like, really, get that out of my head. He kept wanting me to,
That's that's
wanting me
did you,
to. He kept playing in my head over and over. The song "Father Figure." I'm like, really, give me a break.
I'm on vacation, right?
He just kept
That's
going on. I'm like, oh. And the guy that wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
yes.
yeah, he was
Oh,
there,
I can't
and
I can't
I
remember
can't
his
remember.
name.
I can't either. It's like my friends are like, "Oh yeah, so and so." I'm like, "Okay."
Everybody always knows. I never know. I'm the
Yeah,
worst
me
about
neither.
stuff like that.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of people that were just had were there and didn't want to leave and wanted to get messages across, and I'm like, just so I told him, I said, "Listen, just let me just open a door for you, and you can go into the light." So I told him. So I started in the east. I started in the east cemetery, moved over to the west, but I started in the east, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to open the tunnel for you guys." And I'm closing it when I leave. So a couple hours later, I closed it. There were a lot of takers. They went home.
You know, I am I am so surprised when you run into spirits and they automatically know you, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like they know you're going. They know you're coming before you know you're coming.
Yeah.
It's always been that way.
Well, I think that I get surprised because I don't do what you do. I really don't. I am so freezing up somehow. I don't know what's up with my computer, but this is very odd. But I am so impressed that how did they know?
Well, the thing is with me, it's like wherever Ariel and I go, they know
Right?
ahead of time where we're going. You know, that's like Ariel's vibrational frequency is quite well known to them, so they will follow her a lot of times. You know, I came out one night from my work, and there's a cemetery, an old cemetery down, a block away, and I'm like, come out, and it's like winter time, and here's this demon at the other end of the street where I park is a dead end, and here's this demon at the other end, and I'm like staring at me, and I'm like, this is not the OK Corral. Go away. I'm tired. Leave me alone
Go
before I
away.
kill you. And it went
Well, I
away,
mean,
but
that's
it's
what she
like,
does.
yeah, and it's just
That's
like,
why Demon Slayer is the title of the book, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited because we have Angie in chat, and we actually it's a couple, and I have lost it. Ah, it is Ryan and Angela
Oh yeah,
from
yeah,
BBC,
yeah.
and nobody look at the everything behind me because I have to do that. I'm trying to get this fixed so that we don't have a wild and crazy attempt at communication. That never is a good thing.
No, no.
So,
It's like we used
but
to say in the military, and what we have is a failure to communicate.
I know, right? But that's never good when you're trying to do a radio show.
No,
So, I have found that people frown on that.
for
But
sometimes reasons,
like all the people that I'm streaming through, right?
right?
But I am. It gives Carl, weird hair, and because it's all standing on end because I'm driving him crazy. But when I want to know how old you were when Ariel showed up.
Birth.
Really?
Yeah, my grandmother. My mother dumped me on her parents. I was a couple of days old, and my grandmother said that she knew the moment she held me that there was angelic energy, and that I was the fulfillment of the prophecy that was handed down in our family from all the women from the 1400s. And she said she knew the minute, and the minute she got me, I mean, the animals were right there. Michael was always there, and my grandmother was a psychic medium, so it's like
Right.
she could she could sense the demons, but that was as far as it got. But how I saw demons normally was like most humans do. Originally, it was, a black mass or a black shadowy figure. But about 4.5 years old, it changed. I started seeing demons in their true form. And Michael was always with me, the archangel, and he said, you're seeing them as we see them through the eyes of an angel. He says, that's why you see them in that way. He says, I just want you to watch them, learn how they work and what they do, because you're going to need it when you get older. So I knew I had the angelic energy from the time, I was dumped on my grandparents, but I didn't know her name and what she did until I died and went to the other side. And that's when Michael said, this is who you truly are, not this shell that you see in the physical world. You're Ariel the Archangel. She's a demon slayer, and it's time you started doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that was when I was about 25.
Wow.
So, but I'd had demon encounter before that when I was in the Air Force.
what were you, because you're a nurse, and
Mhm.
where were you when you saw a demon in the Air Force?
I was working in emergency room. We had gotten a call that there was someone that had been missing, and they were about to go into his room to see if he was in there, and he had never, gone missing before. So they wanted us over there. So when they opened the door, basically they thought he was dead. So they wanted us to go
Right.
in and remove the body. So we get there, he opens up the door, and the young man is sitting curled up against the wall. And I couldn't tell if he was breathing or not. So I proceeded, myself and another tech proceeded to go in. And just when I stepped inside, I could see a demon up in the corner of the room and the ceiling. And I'm like, oh crap,
Yeah.
we got to get, so got over there, and he had a slow heartbeat. He was still breathing. So we put him on the gurney and took him back to the hospital. And we got to the hospital. I went out to get supplies for an IV, to begin an IV. And I came back in, and the demon was trying to take his life force from him. And that was the first time that Ariel came forward. And my consciousness kind of went to the back. It was kind of like I was watching this all from a distance. And Ariel came forward and said, this one belongs to us. And whatever that demon saw, he was gone in the heartbeat. And so I started my IV and moved on. And I went and saw him before he got out of the hospital. And he said, I had the strangest dream. He said, I had a dream that a demon was trying to take my soul, but an angel, a warrior angel, a female one, came and saved me. And I told him, I said, I didn't say anything other than the fact that, oh, God's got your back. He just wanted to let you know he's got your back. This young man was a chaplain's assistant, and he had went to a
Oh,
party and someone put PCP in his soda. So he was out of it for 3.5 days.
wow.
Yeah.
I just can't fathom the kind of person that does that. And I'm really glad that I can't, because that's not something that I would be wanting to know about.
Yeah.
That's not
I
my
was not
idea of a
happy
good
about that.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of that incident, he was never the same. So he
Yeah.
was discharged home. So
Did he recognize you?
no, no, he
I've
has no
always wondered
memory.
that, and I've
He
never asked.
recognized, he just recognized the angel, Ariel,
Right.
but Ariel and I don't look that much alike, other than she has longer hair and she has blue
Yeah.
green eyes. And when she comes forward, her eyes are white, and my eyes turn white, and there's wings coming out of my shoulders, and my face and voice changes. So it's like a whole different person.
Well, that's very that would almost, because I've seen the imagery that you've created of how she presents,
Hmm.
and that would be. I'm glad that I'm not one. I'm glad I'm not somebody that she would be coming after, because
Yeah, my friend in England that I was visiting, her husband died while she was in the hospital, and he was only 59 years old. And so she never got to say goodbye. So she asked me to
um,
have Ariel bring him to her. And so I had Ariel bring her husband to her. And she said, if I didn't know that she was a nice person, she says,
yeah.
I would be afraid of her. He said she was very fierce looking and very, she's huge. And,
Yes.
but she got to say goodbye to her husband. And I asked Michael, I said, it was 2 months before he was buried. And I asked Michael to preserve his body. So when his burial came to being, he looked like he was just sleeping. There was no, the body was in perfect
Deterioration.
condition, no deterioration whatsoever. And the mortician couldn't figure that out. And it's like, yeah, Michael does good work. Come on.
Well, I mean, there wasn't any reason for him. I mean, she was having to wait to be able to see him anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there wasn't a reason to not have that be as pleasant as
Experience.
that would
Yeah. Experience for her. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but well, I know that I know your story.
Hmm.
Okay. But I don't know if all of our listeners will. And I was curious, would you mind giving a kind of a primer on what you and RAL do
Yeah.
when you are, and how you ascertain when she's
Yeah.
coming
In
forward?
1986, I I was riding my motorcycle and a woman ran a red light and hit me on my bike, toasted my bike. I was mad, but it
Yeah.
flung me across the street and I wasn't wearing a helmet. So I was clinically dead for 2 minutes. There was a police officer that was a couple of cars back and saw it happen. And I went to the other side, and Michael says, "You need to understand who and what you are." He said, "You've always known you're an angel, you have angelic energy." He said, "But you don't know who. You're Ariel the Archangel." She's a demon slayer. She is one of the, people that guard the throne of God, as well as a demon slayer, and she belongs to God created the Legion of Light, which is comprised of Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Ariel. They are in charge of training all of the warrior angels, and they are demon slayers. It'd be in the human world, it would probably be like, sniper, elite sniper squad, Navy SEAL, something like that. He says, your job is to kill demons, to help humankind. He said, and you were sent back in 1198 AD to relive lifetimes because you had no compassion for mankind. And he says, this is your job now. You're going to be helping mankind by killing and removing demons. And I'm like, you couldn't give me this, airy fairy stuff, the unicorn stuff. No, you got to help me take out the trash. But it's like Michael said, she loves doing it. Ariel loves doing it. She wouldn't have it any other way. So he said, but you have to go back. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He says, this physical shell that you have is not her. And then he touched my forehead, and I turned into, I could now be seen as Ariel. And I said, I don't have a mirror. And then the mirror appeared. And I was like 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall, to a 12-foot wingspan. I had long, dark auburn hair, blue-green eyes, and, dressed in armor. I looked fierce. And he says, this is who you truly are. And he says, it's time for you to go back. So I woke up the next day in the hospital and with no memory of the actual accident. But I remembered everything that I saw and felt when I was on the other side. And so I started doing the removals. I would remove them at first. And then God said, I'm too lenient, because it's time for you and the Legion to start killing the demons instead of just sending them back to the dark. Because if you send them back to the dark, they're like a boomerang. They'll just come right back again.
Right.
So that was about 10 years ago. So I've been, the only entity that can kill a demon is an archangel. So I've been killing them ever since.
That has always been so impressive to me, because I know you. So I know that the compassionate side of you matches that fierce side because I've seen what
Yeah,
you've done with my animals. And,
yeah,
you know, I that is such a gift as well.
yeah.
And
I like animals over people.
I like animals over people too. And, you know, it's really but that night because, you know, it was it was Tipper, wasn't it, first
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
he was so scared being here.
Scared, yeah, yeah.
And he's a whole different dog. And that's been years and that has held. And then with Heidi, when you spoke with her, it was interesting because she was my heart dog, and
Hmm.
she got leukemia and passed away. We did everything trying for that not to happen, but leukemia is a bear.
Oh yeah,
So if
yeah.
anybody tells you that your dog has that, it's going to be a hard fight and you're probably not going to win. But if it matters enough to you, there are people who will help you with that. But it just amazes me because she sat there, and I told you, I think later, she sat on the
Hmm.
couch and she was listening to you. She was listening not to me because, and she was like a little person, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was the most interesting thing I've ever seen.
Animals
And
know the angelic energy. They're drawn to it, and that's why I never have a problem. But the difference, I have friends that are animal communicators, and most of them, will get like just the energy, the feeling, the emotions, maybe a picture here and there. But I can talk to them like I talk to you, and they're a little startled at first because they can
she
understand.
was,
But then,
she
but
was.
but then they're like, "Oh yeah, and this is what I need." They're like telling me all about it.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
just
they're
appreciated
more
that
than
so
willing to
much.
listen. They're more than willing to listen, and they don't have the baggage we do. You know.
Yeah. I'm afraid this new one might. He is, it's great because nobody will come here. But it's not great because my grandchildren can't come here. So, because he is, you know, my daughter was here for an afternoon. She had a day surgery. And so she came to stay for the afternoon while her husband finished work and then came and picked her up and took her home. But she walked out of the hallway, out of the back bedroom, and was walking down the hallway. And Wally saw her. And bear in mind,
Hmm.
this is a 100-pound dog, basically, and just went, and she just turned around
Hmm.
and walked back down the hall. And I'm like, you can't do that. You have to be nice. If I'm letting them be, I'll tell you who to eat, okay? Don't eat my kids or my
Yeah,
grandkids.
you. Yeah, just
But
send me a picture and we'll talk. Wally and I will
okay,
talk.
okay, but you're gonna love him. He is the best heart dog. Um, they all have been. They all have been.
Yeah.
But now he has Tipper, and I know that I have spirit dogs here. So,
Hmm.
which I didn't know that I would, right?
Oh yeah.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I did not know
Th-
that. And Willow, my white dog, that was the Spitz mix, um, I get all of these dogs that have been so abused, right? I don't know
mhm.
why that keeps happening, but I guess I'm a good shelter, for their
Yeah.
hearts. But
Yeah. You help heal them. So.
I do. That's they heal me too, so it's a good
Hmm.
balance. But
Yeah.
I've physically seen her, and she
Hmm.
was walking down the hallway, and there's a dog leg into the kitchen if you don't go into the living room. And I was just coming in the house, and she came down the hall and cut over to the kitchen, going to the dining room where she would always eat and get her water and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, that's new, you know, but it makes sense that she wouldn't be far.
Yeah, they will stay if they will still stay until your heart is healed.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
a lot
don't
of
see
times they
Hardy.
will. I have
Yeah.
no. She's gone. She's on the other side. Yeah, she's happy, but she'll be back.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Well, I really
She's
miss
she.
her. You know,
Yeah,
she was,
yeah, she comes. She comes to visit you. She just doesn't stay because she's got things to do on the
yeah,
other side.
well, sure. I think she helps Tipper too.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's really nice because he's such a freak. He's still such a freak, truly. Honest to goodness, he is still
yeah.
such a
Come
freak.
on, come on. You know, you get the dog you need, not necessarily the one you want.
Well, this was David's. This was
Mhm.
David saw a picture of him on Facebook and he was free, which is never a good thing. But,
No.
you know, he was a registered Aussie.
Mhm.
And so he was just like, well, okay, we will see what happens. And it was a good thing. It was a really good thing because he was being, you know, really beaten up, basically, emotionally by this
Yeah.
woman who didn't want him. And her, you know how it is when the kids decide that you need a dog, so they go and find you one.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And it was just, it was sad. It was really
Yeah.
sad because he was a wreck. He's still a wreck. You will find that he's better than he was, but he is not still, he gets nervous still.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot
Right.
of fear and insecurity with him.
Well, I just feel really bad that there's not more healing. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like there should be more healing.
Yeah. They're internal scars. You know, that's the thing. But if you can make them understand, you know, the reason for how they feel.
Fix this Wi Fi thing right now. If I drop the,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this will be better. But here you are. But okay, I I just was I love, I mean, that really probably is my favorite aspect of you because I have seen what happens when you bring that forward. And out of all of your gifts, which are legion, that just blows me away.
Well, you know, that I have a lot of sympathy for the animals. You know, it's like nobody deserves to be abused, you know, or
Nobody.
whether
Yeah.
it's physically, mentally, emotionally, you know. And
Yeah.
so I have every bit of sympathy for them, and I'm the one that brings home the dogs, not my son.
Well, Tipper's the only one that I haven't. And when Heidi passed away, Tipper needed a companion. And he
Hmm.
had Little, but then Little was just, he just passed away. I
Yeah,
took him to the vet and he just died while he was at the vet. Tipper and I went for a walk and we are going to come back and get him. And the vet called and said, Little just died. And I was like, oh, you did not want to make that phone call. You know, so Tipper and I went back
yeah.
and yeah. So I want to talk about you. I'm going to stop talking about dogs because you have written your biography. And
I
I have
have
not finished it yet. But
people have been after me for quite some time to write it, and I could never understand why. And like, I put my pants on one leg at a
Girl.
time like everybody else. So I don't think myself as anything special. I have a job to do as a nurse, a mother, a wife, and a demon slayer.
Yeah.
So for me, it is the way it is, and some of it, I've had people tell me that have read the book that it helped them to better understand some of the things they went through as a child, and with their abilities and being able to hear and not understanding. So I'm happy as long as it helps somebody, to understand, uh, why they are the way they are, or that they're not the only one that has gone through some bad times. I was raised by an abusive mother. Once my grandparents raised me for the first 5 years, and it was wonderful. But my mother decided to come back in my life. She needed a built-in babysitter, so
Right.
so then I went through a lot of physical and emotional abuse because that's the way she was. She was like bipolar. Plus, on top of that, she was a very aggressive and nasty person. But you learn to, and she had a thing about my gifts. She didn't want to hear about them. She didn't want to know about them, and I better not show them because she would beat me for that. The baseball bat was usually handy. So, but you learn the quiet times when the other side visits you at night, and you can talk to them and they can teach you, and you can grow, from their advice and their learning. And it's always a learning experience. I mean, I'll be 68 in November, and you never stop learning. My grandmother always told me knowledge is power. Continue
Yeah.
to learn all your life. And so I did. I do. She died when I was 20, and I was in the military. So I didn't, at that, you're 20 and you think, the world revolves around you, and I
Yeah.
couldn't understand why God would take her and not my mother instead. But I couldn't hear her for a long time until I got over being mad. Once I got over being mad, then I could hear her. But I just think
Is that
that, yeah, what's that?
is that a universal thing?
Yeah, a lot of times it's if somebody dies, and your grief or your anger will, like shut the door until you get over it, till you let go of it. Once you let go of it, then you can hear again. But, and like when my grandfather died, I was given a warning. I was in sixth grade, and I went to outdoor school. And the first night I was there, I had a dream. My grandfather came to me and said, "Listen, I'm going to be leaving, but you're going to be okay. You're tough. You'll make it. It'll be okay." And I woke up crying, and I told my grandmother about it when I got back, and she said, "Well, he loved you so much that he wanted you to know that he was going." And that was like in April, and he died in September
Wow.
of the same year. So, I I really missed him. We were very, very close, along with my grandma. But
Yeah.
the thing is, those people never come again. I talk to my grandparents all the time, but it's not the same. You can't get the hug. You know what I'm saying?
No. And that
Even
would be
even
the
though they're there, yeah, even though they're there, and you talk to them, ask them for advice and things like that, it's still not the same, and that's the hard part. You can't get a hug from them. You can't.
and
My grandfather was 6'7". My grandma was like 5 foot nothing.
oh my goodness. There's a
Uh,
lot of couples like that though. That's not
yeah,
I mean, it seems to be a thing.
Yeah,
Big
and
men like little women and vice versa.
yeah, my grandma was she was Irish Scottish, so she had a temper when it happened, but it didn't happen very often. She was very, my they had the type of marriage that you don't hear about hardly. She knew what he wanted before he knew what he wanted, and vice versa. And if she was
Mhm.
in the wrong, he'd look at her and say, "Babe," and that would be all it would take. And she'd like,
Yeah.
"Okay, fine, I'm wrong," But
Yeah.
they had a very good relationship.
Well, I'm glad that you can still communicate with them though, because that is something that a lot of people would give a lot for. And people don't realize that you actually can in ways that are kind of surprising to me
Hmm.
because they just,
Yeah, a
every
lot of
so
times.
often, they're just
Yeah, a lot of
randomly
times.
there.
Yeah, or usually when they pop into your head unexpectedly, that means they're there. They're visiting,
Mhm.
and everybody gets a job on the other side if they decide, and then when they decide to come back, they come back. My grandfather decided to come back when my husband and I got married, and we wanted to have a child. And
Right.
the minute he was conceived, my grandfather said, "Congratulations, it's a boy." And I named him after my grandfather. So
Yeah.
that for me, that was special.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, how could that not have been? That is one of the best gifts to have. And I
And my
get,
husband, my husband's different. My husband's he was an auditor for years, so he's very left brain. I mean, the
mhm,
last thing that even anything even occurred to him was anything paranormal. He considers himself agnostic. He believes in a higher power, but doesn't give it a name.
right.
He's seen some things being married to me he doesn't want to see again. Like we were at the coast one time visiting my cousin, and we were staying at our timeshare, and I'm upstairs, and I felt something negative, and my husband's bellowing at me. He's like, "Get down here!" I'm like, so I come downstairs, and here's a demon standing there, and he's pointing at it. He says, "What the hell is that?" And then it shot out through the French doors. And I said, "That, my dear husband, is a demon. Welcome to my world." And he says,
He
"I
can see
never
it.
want to see that again. Never, ever." Yeah, he could actually see it. Like I said, he never
Wow.
wants, I never want to see it again. I'm like, okay.
I can
I said,
see
but you
that.
said if you can't touch it, feel it, or see it, it doesn't exist. So there you go.
And now you have. Be careful what you ask
Yeah, and
for,
my
right?
grandmother came to visit, and my sister came to visit, and they're like, "Make them stop seeing, showing themselves." I'm like, "No, not my problem."
How did that go over?
Not so good. But what could he do? He just shrugs. It's like, okay, I just don't want to see them anymore. I'm like, hey, they're not scary, so what's the problem?
Yeah. That's one thing that I used to really, when I started paranormal investigation, I was really like, I don't want to see you. I don't mind hearing you. I don't mind you know, the brain to brain communication, whatever. I said, but
Hmm.
I don't want to see your death state. I do not want to see a
Yeah,
death
yeah.
state. And so far, people have respected that. And I don't see as often as I used to. Menopause seems to have kind
Hmm.
of slowed that down somehow. But it's really, or the ADHD medicine, one of the two. But it's really funny because my ADHD is diagnosed as postmenopausal adult ADHD.
Hmm.
And they said I've probably had it my entire life, which I would vouch for that. And they said that the lack of collagen and other um, necessary components are what caused this to explode in women going through the change of life. And I was like, so this is just the gift that keeps on giving. Is that what you're saying? And they were like, yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we're saying. But now
And you're
I'm
like, oh,
easier.
thanks.
Yeah, I'm easier to treat than an
Yeah,
adolescent.
I don't know.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's always been the same for me all my life. It's like I've always heard them, I've always seen them. You know, people ask me, well, don't they scare you? You know, when you talk about demons and stuff. And I said, no. I said, they don't. I've been seeing them that way since I was 4.5. And I said, that's a weakness. If you fear them, you can't deal with them, you can't remove them, you can't kill them. I said, why should I be afraid? They're more afraid of me than I am of them. And I don't have a problem with that. It used to be we'd go out and do an investigation or whatever, and Ariel would stay hidden, within me. And demons are a lot like people in the way that they look at the outside. They don't see what's inside. They don't even try. So whenever she would come forward, they would be like, oh crap, like she's here.
Looked at the wrong tree on
now,
that. Yeah.
yeah, now she doesn't even attempt to hide herself. It's just we're full on, and the minute that I'm in the location, they want to be anywhere but where I am. So they kind of like run the other way, but they don't get very far.
Yeah.
It is
Well, I
what
was
it
going
is.
to ask
You have
that
to get rid
question.
of them.
Yeah. Because if you are
Yeah,
somewhere
they
where
have
they're
a tendency.
showing themselves, then they're done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, each demon is like an angel. Each one has their own uh, frequency, their vibrational frequency that is strictly their own. It's kind of like you with your fingerprints. You have your own fingerprints that are yours and nobody else's. So once she gets the vibrational frequency, they're screwed because she can just, on the other side, thought becomes reality in the dark and the light realm. And it's the intention behind the thought that gives it that power. So if her intention is to kill the demon, it basically draws the demon to her so she can kill it.
Okay. Well, her intention is always to
And
kill
that's
it,
the
though,
way she
isn't it?
likes it. She doesn't want it. She doesn't, yeah. Oh, yeah. She doesn't want any of them to escape. No escaping.
I do. I do like a single-minded purpose. I mean, seriously, if you're going to do your
Oh, yeah.
job, do it right
Definitely single
and do it
minded.
well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. 110%. Absolutely. I'm like that as a nurse and I'm like that as a demon slayer. You can't escape. You can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah. I just find that fascinating because the first time that we met and spoke, I was not
Mm-hmm.
sure what to expect. And because you're psychic, you knew that. And it was such an interesting moment in time because because I'd read, right? And so I was trying to be not really wigged out by what you could do, which is, I mean, I think it's fascinating. Everybody everybody should have these skills, but except others would not use them appropriately. But it's really amazing because
No.
you seem so nice and mellow and calm, and you're, you know, right at my age, and we do, same mindsets and whatever.
Yeah.
And yet there's this other flip side in you. And the first time we spoke, I was like, who am I going to be talking to? I mean, but because if there's not a demon, this is who you get if you're not a demon.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
been
I am. I am what I am, and
You
it's
are.
just some people would say, I've had people say that I'm arrogant, and it's like, no, I'm not arrogant. I'm self-assured. If I can't do what I say I can do, then you can call me
Mhm.
arrogant. But when you need me, then then there I am, and you're thankful for what I can do. I don't.
Yeah.
It's for me. It's just as natural as breathing. It's what I
Mhm.
do. I don't think of anything special. I know there are 7 archangels in the world today, and I'm the only demon slayer. And I know where the other
That's
6 are.
astounding.
So
Yeah.
it is what each one of us has a different job to do. Yeah.
What kind of jobs are the others?
There's one that's a communicator. There are 2 that are healers. There's another one that's a facilitator, and there's another one that's is a oh well, he's got a little bit of everything going on. He has to make up for something that he did. What happened was there was a plane that was about to crash, and instead of letting the plane crash, there was a child on board, and the child cried out for help. And so this archangel pulled the soul out before the crash happened. Well, what he didn't realize was the child was actually one of the survivors, was supposed to survive and didn't. So he had to
Oh,
come
wow.
back and relive a physical world life and understand the meaning of life. That's what his is all about.
Wow.
So you can't, I mean, angels make mistakes, archangels make mistakes, and you have to be responsible for that, and you have to understand it. And so that's what a lot of them are sent back to understand, you know, different lessons about the physical world and humans and life. I'm the only one with the trash can.
Well, but that is to be able to do that is is pretty is a pretty wonderful gift. I know that you see what they do and what they are doing. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't think that would be your downside. But the positive
Yeah,
side is you
it
can
is.
take care of the situations that they're creating. And
Yeah, what gets me is they will kill an animal in a heartbeat without even a second thought. I was called in on a case where they had uh, killed the rat, the pet rat. Its head was pulled through the cage, and it's impossible to do that. And the bird its head was twisted off, and they were working on the grandmother's service dog when I got there. So, Ariel has a low tolerance for that.
yeah, well, that's okay. Cat has a low tolerance for that too. I just can't go and
Yeah,
fix it
so
like
it's
she
like,
can.
that's why I tell people if if you think you have something negative there, pay attention to your animals. They will
Mhm.
tell you. They won't go anywhere near those things. They'll growl at them. If there's an angel there, that's different. They will go towards it. But if there's a demon there or something negative, you need to pay attention to your animals. I don't care whether it's a dog,
Yes.
a cat, a rat, a bird. Makes no difference. They can see them. They can hear them, and they don't like them.
Well, I know that at one point I had, excuse me, I had very unintentionally come into contact with a group of people that thought that was fun, that sought the
Mm.
darkness. And
Yeah.
we were on the same radio network. And I was just kind of like, oh, well, no, I'm not doing this. And so I left. And it was a very
Hmm.
weird thing. And they all communicated, and stuff started happening in my house. And I was
Hmm.
sitting in my living room, and in the back room, in the guest room, um, I saw a dog, looked like a dog, come in, bounce off the bed onto the dresser, and go through the mirror. And I was just like,
Hmm.
okay, what the hell is that? What is that? My house is protected. What was that? And I called a friend of mine and I said,
People
I need help with
don't
this.
understand they can travel through the phone lines, whether the cell phone,
Mhm.
they can travel through the phone lines, the computer, cell phone. You could be talking to somebody on the other end, and there's a demon there, and it'll go right through. And it don't make no difference to them. It's all about causing chaos and
It is.
destruction and causing pain. That's what they're all about, and they don't care. It's
Well,
and
they
I
did after
I
a while
know when
because
somebody,
yeah,
yeah,
they didn't care.
I know when somebody summons it. I know when somebody summons the demon. I'll get like people that need help, but I know if they summon the demon because I can tell.
Right.
Because and then when I communicate with the demon, I'll say, I know you were summoned, and I said, yeah, that'll make no difference to me. Your ass is mine, you
Yep.
know, and just kill it. But people play with that stuff, and
They
that makes me
do.
mad. It's
And
like when it makes me mad. I've had cases where somebody had been paid to summon a demon to put it onto somebody to make their life a living hell.
mhm.
And, so if I get a case like that, I take the demon and I put it on the person who summoned it and let them play with them for a while. And
Just
then I kill
turnabout
it.
fair
I
play.
want them to, yeah, I want them to understand this is what happens if you mess with them.
Well, I called a friend of mine and I just said, look, I just saw this happen. She's a psychic and she's very,
Hmm.
very skilled. And I called her and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it looked like it had a face like a greyhound, but it had a body like a lab. It was a stocky. It didn't look right.
Hmm.
And she was like,
Yeah,
oh dear. She said, I'm going to send you the ritual and you can make your own holy water. You don't have to do, just make it
right.
so and don't do it by yourself. And
Hmm.
so I had to go to my husband, who at the time thought that all of that was hokum, right? And I said, I need to do a cleansing on our house. So if you have a poker tournament to go to or something, that would be great. And, I don't, but this has to happen. So my research partner at the time was a guy that did not, I mean, he was very boom, 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 and not given to given a lot of credibility to this type thing. And I said, all I need you to do is what I ask you to do. And if I say something and ask you to repeat it, do it. And if I say something and I say amen, I want you to say amen as well. And then you're in charge of the holy water. And I have spray bottles. I want you to get every corner. I want you to get, top and bottom. So we're going through and he's doing it. And I'm doing the prayers and I'm doing everything. And all of a sudden I'm doing my thing and I said amen and he's not saying anything. And I was like, you're supposed to be paying attention. You have to stay with me here. And he was like, oh, amen. And so later, not then, not that night, later he told me, I said, and it's so weird that you just completely went off track. He was like,
He
that's
saw
because
it.
I saw it. He saw
He
it.
saw it.
And I
Hmm.
said, well, what did it look like? He said, it looked like some guy in a black ghillie suit. And I said, he's ex-military. And I was like,
Hmm.
really? And he was like, absolutely. And he was like, so, and then right when I saw him, the little trigger on the spray bottle broke. So he was having to hold the
Hmm.
trigger in place while he squeezed going through the house. And so it was just like, I'm glad he didn't tell me because I don't know how I would have felt about that. Because I was already, I knew I had to do it. I knew I could do it. I had utmost confidence in the person who told me what to do. I had the, I mean, I had the real tools.
Right.
And so it was just like, okay, this is my home. I'm going to protect and defend my home. And
Hmm.
this is how this is going to work. So that's what happened.
Yeah, because it's all about the intention. The intention gives it power.
Yes.
That's the thing. And you have to have that confidence because Michael and I had a conversation long ago about demonics and the Catholic Church. And I said, why does it always take the Catholic Church? It can take an exorcist from the Catholic Church days, weeks, months, years to get rid of a demon.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And Michael says it's because they have doubt, whether it's doubt
Yeah.
in what they're doing, if they can do it in themselves or anything, then you might as well hang it up. You cannot have
Yeah.
any doubts whatsoever. He says that's the difference. And it helps that you have an archangel inside of you,
Doesn't hurt.
whereas they do not. And I'm like,
Well, I
oh,
tell you,
okay. And it was when I was young.
well, but it's so funny because I guess because I talked to you and I talked to people like Jennifer, and I had no doubt that this was going to be
Mhm.
what needed to happen.
Right.
And it was just, and I was very thankful for that because the
Hmm.
people that did this, I mean, I sound I sound Southern,
Hmm.
and they thought that that meant stupid.
Of course.
And, so because they're not. And I was just like, but you do not understand. I am, you know, and what I do doing this. I've done paranormal experience for 10 years, almost 11. And
Hmm.
I've talked to people and I've experienced things. And, you cannot live in the South, love New Orleans, and not have experiences and understand that, yes, this is
Yeah.
real, but yes, there are things to do. And so it was
Right.
just kind of like, underestimate me. That'll be fun because I'm not who
Yeah.
you're going to be dealing with. I am
Ex-
bringing in,
Exactly.
you know, I'm bringing God into this play. This is not,
Right.
you're not just battling
Yeah,
me.
that's what they
I'm a,
hate. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm a child of
Yeah.
God.
But they
I'm not.
underestimate humans. Like I said, they do not they do not look what's inside. They only look at the outside, nothing more,
Yeah.
because that's how they are. And I had a conversation with Lucifer one time, and he didn't like it because I was calling the young demons, the lesser demons, stupid.
Right.
I said, well, they are stupid. And he said, no. He said, they just haven't learned. I said, they're stupid. I said, and I'm not about to let them learn on me. And I said, and you
No.
know that as well as I do. I said, I'm not going to be their, person to give a hard time to because I just kill them as soon as look at them. No problem. People ask me, well, don't you talk to the demons? I'm like, no, why would I? They've got nothing to say that I want to hear. It's like,
Nope.
come on, give me a break.
Other things to do.
I don't fear. Yeah, I don't fear Lucifer. I had a case I went in on where the woman had 20 entities in possession.
Oh my.
And it's like we got down to the last one. I mean, 11 entities for 20 years. And I removed him, got down to the last one, and he just wouldn't leave. So I went into the demon's brain and I found out that, because I can get in their brain, I found out that it had been given a job and just said, screw you, and blew him off. And so he was in hiding. So I'm like, so that's the reason. So a friend of mine was with me, and he is ordained minister, and then another friend that wanted to come along with me to the removal process. And I said, fine. I said, Lucifer, come forth. And both of my friends saw this entity appear at the end of the hallway and start walking towards us. And they saw, a black shadow person with spats, double-breasted suit, fedora, coming towards them, and golden eyes. And Lucifer, looked at me and said, I know you don't want me to harm the woman, so I'll come back for her. I'll come back for the demon later, because he had told the demon, come on, come with me. Demon's like, no way, I'm not coming with you, because he knew that he would kill him. Mm-hmm. And so we all, went home, and we all woke up at 3 a.m. and heard Lucifer say, it's done. Wow. And I called the woman the next day, and she says, I haven't felt like this in 20 years. She says, I feel empty.
Oh.
And I said, well, find a counselor. I said, you have PTSD from having these things in-house, so to speak, for 20 years. But my friend who's the ordained minister, he said, he said, when I heard you call Lucifer forward, he says, just for a split second, I thought you'd lost your mind. And then I remembered who and what you were. And I was okay with that. But to this day, he still can't wrap his brain around it, He says, I've always known that the dark exists, and I've always known that the light exists. But to see them both relatively in the same place at the same time, he says, he's like, still can't get over that.
Well, out of curiosity, he's a fallen angel, right?
Yeah, he is.
So,
but the thing is, people don't understand that there was no dark realm before the war. And people, even the Catholic Church doesn't know what caused the war. But I do, because I was there as Ariel. We had physical bodies trillions of years ago, and we evolved into pure energy. And we traveled as a group, as a cohesive group, saw everything, stars being created, black holes, civilizations being created. And, it came a time when we had seen everything you could see and done everything basically that you could do. And so there was a consensus that they wanted to be, the souls wanted to be human again, so they could experience having children, love, the physical. And Lucifer and a group of his followers said, no, that's not what we want. We do not want to be subject to pain, disease, growing old, stuck in a shell where we cannot come and go as we please. So they rose up against God and the Legion. And so the battle happened. And in the end, Michael disarmed Lucifer and Ariel disarmed his son. And God said, you cannot live among us anymore. So he opened a rift into a dark realm of existence, and he put him in there. And he told Lucifer, "This is your new realm. Here's your kingdom." And he sealed it up. You can't live among us. You can't.
Right.
And so at first they were fine with it because it's like, yeah, we got our own place. We're good. But over the trillions of years, they've become angry, vengeful, and that's why they attack the living, because each living body contains um, a white light soul, and they
Right.
blame them for dark, and so that's their whole purpose. But it's not saying that you know Lucifer was, it was God knew that it was a matter of when, not if, Lucifer would cause problems. He knew that from the beginning.
Well,
And so that's why
yeah.
he created the Legion, so that, who were in charge of all the archangels and the warrior angels. And
Right.
so he knew there would be a time when this would be needed. So, Lucifer does have respect for the Legion, for God, for Jesus. But, in the dark realm, there is a hierarchy. There's Lucifer, his first, second, and third in command. Then there are the old demons, who are the most powerful and the wisest. And then there are the lesser demons, who are the young ones. And then there are the minions, the creepy crawly dudes, the shadow people, things like that, harpies, and then just as there is in the light, there's a hierarchy. But Lucifer does have that respect, so that when, he encounters Ariel, he bows to her, because there is that respect, because he knows, and if push comes to shove, she'll kill him without even a second thought. And that's a lot of the respect, because she doesn't tolerate it. She won't tolerate it.
I have got to find a way at some point, now or afterlife or whatever, to see you as Ariel. I think
Yeah.
that's so. I mean, I think it's astounding because to me, I mean, you're almost like Clark Kent, right? And I mean, really, really and truly. And then
Yeah,
when you're
if you see me
not,
in person, and there's a demon present, you'll see her. She'll come forward.
I have, I'll just as soon not have a demon there too. But
Yeah.
I do know that's how, what would have to happen. But when you the first time this happened, you were young.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
My first actual encounter with the demon, where I communicated with it, was when I was 18. And but I actually saw demons. I saw a demon whisper in my mother's ear. So, when I was 10. So, and I've been seeing them all my life. It only Michael kept them from seeing me as Ariel, so that
right,
I could study and watch them and learn how they work. So that when I died and went to the other side and finally understood what my purpose was, then, everything came together.
that's just so wild. And,
Because I
it's,
have all the knowledge that Ariel has. Because I
mhm.
told him, I said, you didn't give me a manual for this, come on. And that's when Michael says, you need to finish the merge. He did a partial merge when I was a child, but he
Mhm.
finished it when I went to the other side and came back.
Right.
So that's why I can see through her eyes. I hear what she hears, see what she sees, and I have all her knowledge. I have the knowledge of the past, the future, and even of my death. I don't have a problem with it. I've been dead before. It's not a big deal.
I don't, I don't know. I was close to it. I don't know if I actually hit it, but I don't fear it like I used to because it would have been easier at that moment to have it right than to not. And I'm glad now to be here.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it can be a very freaky moment in your period. I mean, how are you focused? How are you able to focus to were you afraid?
No.
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 I just
I would
I
rather
just
I
wanted
would
to
rather
see
face
how
a thousand demons than deal with my mother when she was alive.
I had that stepfather, so the same causation. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so I don't know. I don't know what my reaction would have been had that continued.
Even as a child, I was never afraid of them. It's
Yeah,
because, and I know that's because of Ariel, and she's kept me safe.
yeah,
And it's like, it's like Michael says, Ariel and I guard the body, the physical body. It's they take care of the body. I had
yeah.
I had about a cancer, so but they
Yes.
said you're having this so you can experience it, so you can understand. As a nurse, I'm like, yeah, I understand. I don't really think I needed it to understand.
So
But,
I have seen this
but,
before. I don't really
but,
think I need this now.
yeah. But they said, yeah, you really needed to experience it to understand. So I'm like, okay.
You know, my daughter-in-law is going through breast cancer right now,
Hmm.
and it was the first time that any of my kids have been sick, like that kind of sick. And
Right.
so, you know, I mean, it's very, she's such a warrior. I mean, she really
Hmm.
is because she hit it. She, when it started, then that was it. And then she had a problem with the her port. They had to pull her port, and so now she's back to IVs for a little while. And every step that has been something that would have, I feel like, would have been such a trippy dippy moment. And she's just gone, let's fix it. Let's fix it. And it's small cell. It's very aggressive. And it's already shrinking. So they were just like, this is really doing well. I'm like always the tone of surprise. Don't discount who's praying for that kid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You can't, you cannot let it beat you. You have
mm-mm.
to say, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to beat you.
Yeah, and she is, and she has worked all the way through, except for when the infection was happening, and she
Hmm.
is. They have moved house, they have sold a house and bought a house, and they are, you know, she is doing everything. And I'm sorry, I think that transitioning like that would be very hard while you're going through all the emotional turmoil that goes with the diagnosis and the treatment and
Right.
the physical effects of that. And, she's just a badass. She really is. I'm so proud of her. But
Yeah, you have to be. You can't let it beat you, you know?
you can't. You really can't. And, it's, she was talking about, you know, she was having a day when everything hurt, legs, hair, everything hurt.
Yeah.
And one of
Breathing.
my
Yeah.
girlfriends breathing, yes. And she has a new baby. He is 6 months
Oh,
old. Yes. And
congratulations.
because she was breastfeeding is how she found this. So it's ductal carcinoma. And one of my girlfriends that went through that, out of the blue on her Facebook page, said, "It gets better.
Hmm.
This part passes, it gets better." And I just thought that was so nice that, you know, one of my girlfriends is following this because she's been through it. And I
Uh-huh.
think that that's how we heal each other and how we keep each
Yeah.
other moving
Yeah.
through these things.
You need that. You
Just
need
like
that
with,
support system. Yeah.
mhm. But when I saw it, I was like, girl, I love you. Thank you for doing that. Because I don't have that experience to offer,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's pretty amazing. But let's see. I am trying to find my glasses because give me a moment. Um, we have some questions for you.
Okay.
And so this is from Melissa or Elisa. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But she said, could reptilians who are used to serve ancient road demons otherwise be called or referred to as Dina or Dinah?
See. I suppose you could call them that. You know, I just call them. I prefer not to deal with them because they're dealing. You know, the ancient demons were destroyed in uh, not that long ago because they were causing so much problems. And the reptilians served the ancient demons, and they served them out of fear, not
Right.
because they were loyal. And so now they've transferred their loyalty to, I call them the home demons, the regular demons.
Right.
But you can call them whatever you want. I just call them, they're just another breed of demon.
Well, yeah, so we have about three more questions from her. Um, you're going to love the last one. Mm, battle. But she said, if thoughts become reality in both dark and light realms, then why do demons steal when they can manifest with thought whatever it is they want versus going through the hassle and extorting their energy and time to steal?
Because they get the satisfaction out of hassling humans, out of torturing humans. So thought becomes reality, but it's also limited to their realms. That's the thing. It'd be like the law of physics apply to us. The law of physics do not apply to them. So in their realm, thought becomes reality. If they say, I'm going to Vegas today, then they're Vegas. They're in Vegas in a split second, not even a second. But they want to hassle humans because each human has a white light soul. They're trying to exact revenge, and they're butt heads.
Okay. So, and the one that, the last one is that the demon that is still there says you can't find her.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know who this is. Oh yeah, she's not. She's. I haven't taken her out yet. This is somebody I'm working on, and she's being terrorized by a female demon, and it behooves Ariel to torture the demon by making her think that she can't find her. There's nothing worse for a demon is to know that, Ariel or one of the Legion are waiting for them.
Right. Well, I know that that would be very. I don't know. I don't know. Why do they always have such bravado? Is that just to intimidate the
because
human
they
that
think
they're
that they've got it made. It's to intimidate the human. They try to basically brainwash the human into thinking nobody can help them, that they'll never get away, and they're trying to make them suffer as much as they can. So they try to brainwash them that way, thinking now nobody can help you, nobody wants to help you. That's how they work. But then a lot of times one of the legion will go in and they know where the demon is, and they let the demon know that they're looking for them, and the demon thinks
Mhm.
they'll never find them. But what better way to make them worry about being found?
Yep.
But just prolong the agony, like, oh, they'll never find me, and then next thing you know, they're dead.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be so
Because demons
satisfying.
don't experience pain. Yeah, demons don't experience pain, and they think they got it made, but they just don't have a clue.
Well, I have found that's true with humans that have that cockiness too. It's very
Yeah,
satisfying when it
sure.
gets fixed.
Yeah.
Do you get
Hmm.
satisfaction when you
Yeah.
have a
What?
situation like that?
Yeah, because it's in the end, the demon gets killed. The person gets rid of what's been attached to them for years, and then you move on to the next demon. And a lot
Right.
of times, see, demons are kind of like animals in the way, like dogs, they travel in packs. It's
Mm.
never just one demon, because a lesser demon is a young demon, and it has to answer to the old demon. One of the old demons is
Okay.
usually in charge of several of the lesser demons. And when you connect with, I can follow the lead from the old demon to the lesser demon to the minions. It's like following the yellow brick road. They're all connected, interconnected,
Right.
and you can see it. The old thinks that they'll never be found out either. And then you kill the
Yeah.
old demon, and the rest is history.
That's that was an interesting part of a conversation because I had not I don't know, if thoughts become reality in both dark and light realms, that's something that I had not really brought into this side of this type of our conversation, this part of our conversation ever
Yeah,
that
they
we've had
can, you
because
can, yeah, and there's no distance on the other side, and there's no time on the other side. It
Mhm.
would be like you could be in your kitchen, okay, and if you go to the sink, you're in Jamaica. If you go to the refrigerator, you're in Thailand. There's no distance. It's like
I have got to
the
get me
old
some of
phone
that.
booths where you went in the phone booth and
Yes.
you could dial, internationally. It's the same type of thing, because when you go to the other side, the human brain has a problem with understanding the complex form of energies that are there.
Mhm.
So we revert to what we know in the physical world. Like, oh, well, that looked like a cloud, or that looks like a door,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
that Michael looks like this, or an Ariel looks like that. When in reality, that's just a complex form of energy, but sentient energy. But the brain has to figure it out. If you're not meant to stay on the other side, then you stay in your physical thought pattern. But if you're meant
Right.
to stay on the other side, that goes away. But when I died and went to the other side, it was all about, you know, me coming back. My grandparents were there to
Right.
meet me, And Michael was there and said, "This is why you're here, to understand, and that's why you're dead for 2 minutes." I felt like I was there for hours, but I was only dead for
Yeah.
2 minutes. So there's no concept of time whatsoever.
Wow. Well, that is absolutely, absolutely amazing to me.
And the thing is when you're on the other side, overall you get this feeling of, you can feel God as an overall, like an umbrella. And then you can hear every single soul in existence, whether it's good or bad. You can hear them all. It's just a matter of, if you want to hear one, or like my grandmother, you zero in on that individual and their
Right.
frequency, and then you hear what they're saying. When I was about, uh, when my vision changed of how I see demons, it also changed how I hear, because before I only heard Michael, but when my vision changed of demons, I could hear everyone, every soul in existence. And I would cry and cover my ears, and my grandmother was trying to figure out, do you have an ear infection, what's going on? And I said, make them stop, because I could hear every voice.
Right.
And when she understood that, then she said, this find one voice and concentrate on that voice, listen only to that voice. And that's how I learned to individualize as a kid and listen to one voice, one person.
Hmm.
But it's confusing when it kicks in and you can hear everything and everyone.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean,
It's like most people will hear one person, one voice, one mediumship. One person. The medium may be talking to one person, and in actuality, there are 20 people in that room, not just one. There are actually 20 or 30. Like in the room I'm in right now, there's over 100 of them in here, white light souls. But they're just coming and going. It's like being, in the middle of Times Square. They're all coming and going.
been
Everybody's
there.
doing their
That's
own
crazy.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they want to talk to me, they'll stop and talk. But most of the time, they're just passing through, just going, keeping going.
Yeah.
So I don't need a portal for that, because everything's in my head.
That's wicked cool. Because that's a lot. I'm sorry. I've been in Times Square at rush hour, and that is a busy, crazy place. And I can't even
Yeah.
fathom
And you
having,
just learn to, yeah, you just learn. I just tune them out. I just tune them out. If I want to talk to somebody, I'll talk to somebody, or they have a question or something, or they need something, then they'll stop and they'll talk to me. But for the most part, I just tune them out.
Mhm.
Especially when I'm working, I have to tune them out, because I can't be distracted. You know.
What would happen if you were distracted?
Well, then I would forget where I was, what I was doing, or if I was working in the clinic, did I take this blood pressure? What was the blood pressure I just took? Because we take it
Yeah.
manually, or the patient asked me a question, or I've given instructions on medications, or I'm giving an injection. I have to pay attention.
Oh, okay. So you would not, so that could happen if you didn't guard, that could happen at any time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When I'm driving down the road, you know. So I
Yeah.
tune them all out until such time as I need to talk to them. But you have to set boundaries and limitations, even for the other side. You can talk to me from here, from this time to this time. But you can't talk to me when I'm working. That's not happening.
Right.
When I'm sleeping, don't be waking me up because I need my sleep. People say, well, I can't do that. I can't tell them not to not to talk to me or whatever. I'm like, no, you can. You have to. To save your sanity. I learned that long ago. You know, you want to talk to me? I'll talk to you after 5 p.m. Thanks.
Right. That's you have to teach them discipline too.
Yeah, you do.
And that's sometimes the hard part, right? I mean, but because
It,
I don't
yeah,
know,
it is.
maybe because right now I can be distracted easier than in the past. But it's really,
Hmm.
there's so many different sides to this.
Oh, that's something.
And
That's yeah, yeah. And that's something the military gave me was, the ability to focus in, and be very undistracted. Not be able not to be distracted. You learn the art of that in the military. You can't.
Mhm.
And then from the military, being a nurses training, that's where I got it in the military. So, you learn to be focused and to shut everything else out.
well, to me, I mean, I'm sorry. I know who runs hospitals and offices and other things, and it's not the doctors. So I think that it's
No.
so amazing that, A, thank you for doing that through the military because that is such a noble profession that I have a big hearts for nurses. And that's all types of nurses. It is something that I did not feel like I would be able to do and do well. So it never even crossed my mind. My daughter was accepted into nursing school, although probably she shouldn't have been because she didn't have quite, the GPA she should have had. And that was just a God thing that she was. And she called me one day and she said, Mom, I just dropped out of nursing school. I'm getting a theater degree. I said, Really? Who's paying for that? That was an interesting conversation. But it's so odd because I know what it takes to do that. And I am I'm an empath and I have a very hard time with other people who are damaged in pain. Um,
Hmm.
it just tears me up. And so I really have such admiration for people like you who can deal with that and
Yeah,
do
I'm
deal with that
empathic, but
for
I
a
shut that
living.
down long ago. I shut
I
down.
have never mastered
Yeah,
that.
I shut down my empathic abilities long ago because
How
you
did you
can't
do
deal
that?
with demons, and
Well,
if
no,
I just
I
shut
don't
it
think I would
down.
have a lot of
Just
compassion
turn it off.
there. How did you do? You like visualize a switch?
Just
Do
shut the
you?
door.
Yeah. Well, I can do that with
Oh,
bad people, but
I have
average
the
people.
ability to just yeah, I have the ability to just turn it off when I want to,
Mhm.
and turn it on when I want to. It just I think sure it's Ariel, so
Yes.
that is the reason I can do it. It's like turning off my abilities completely, and shut everybody out except for upstairs. I can even shut out the light if I want to, but I always
Mhm.
keep one eye open for them. But the rest of the world, sometimes I have to shut it out.
Well, that's a maybe now I will learn to be able to do that better at 64. So, you know,
Yeah, it was one of the
it's,
easiest ways is just to picture a door in your mind where
yeah.
it just your mind has the ability to open the empathic door and to shut the empathic door, and you just picture the door and just shut it. Then you can
Okay.
open it back up when you're ready.
I will do that. And,
Yeah, you can
I,
do it.
I will. I can, because I learned how to meditate very well, and I
Hmm.
learned how to manifest very well.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that I can shut the door pretty well too.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
to me, it's just so it's a hard thing, and
Hmm.
I had to. But it's odd because I had to do that with my my mom and my step parent because
Hmm.
that was such a tough thing. And for the longest time,
Well,
I just ran away from it. You okay?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I realized my battery was at 37%.
Well, we don't have very much longer to go. We've got 20 minutes. If you cut
Oh,
out,
there
then
you
I'll
go.
just call you later.
Then,
But
then you'll know what happened.
I will know what happened. And trust me when I say that Carl can tell you stuff happens on these shows. It's so funny. But especially when we talk about topics like this, because a lot of times energy reacts to the topics.
Oh
And
yeah,
we will have stuff that just goes
oh yeah. They don't like
bat
me
crap
talk. They don't
crazy.
like me talking about them. So what else is new?
No. Well, there's a lot that doesn't like that. So it happens. And I've learned
Yeah,
that. In fact, I have talked about some topics that never got on the air because the show would never go. So it's just a weird thing. There's apparently there's some topics that you just can't talk
yeah.
about.
That happened.
And
I
who
was on a
knew?
show called Paranormal Crossings years ago, and I was talking about. Um, I was I was there to be interviewed for something, and the guy calls me later and says, 2 days later, because I said, well, when's it going to be on? I'll tell people. And he says, I have to tell you that it's nowhere. He says, we recorded on the studio hard drive, we recorded on my Blu-ray, and we recorded on another computer. And it's like it never happened. And he
Oh
thought
my
I'd be
gosh.
upset. I just laughed. I said, that's about right. I said,
Yeah.
that's the dark ones, and they said they interfere. He says, well, come on the show again. This time we'll talk about them. I said, well, yeah, I'll bring my protection with me then. Because it never occurred to me that, that they would completely, they completely get rid of it. 100%.
That's crazy.
I've had like
That would be so
when
frustrating.
I had Jeff Ballinger contact
Oh,
I
I
had
like Jeff.
Jeff Ballinger contact me to be on Ghost Adventures. Yeah, I'd be on Ghost Adventures. We're talking, and all of a sudden he hears this growl in the phone, and then it disconnects. And he like calls me right back, and he's like, "What was that?" I said, "Oh, it's just a
Yeah.
demon. Don't worry about it. That's normal." Just continue.
Did he have a connection
He's like,
bet?
"You're kidding." I said, "No." I said, "No." I said, "They'll come through." Yeah, he was like, I said, "They'll come through the car radio. They'll come through the cell phone. Not a problem. It is what it
Yeah.
is."
Well, and it is what
So
it
then I went
is. I
down
mean,
and did the
because
show, and it's like, yeah, okay,
how
yeah,
was that? Did you have fun?
yeah. You can't control them.
No.
Yeah, I had fun with them. The thing is, I got a connection from one of the demons about a week before Jeff Ballinger called me and said, "Listen, he says I need to give a message to Zach Baggins," and I'm like, "Really?
The
What am
demon
I
did?
now? Your messenger? Come on
Your
now."
messenger service.
Yeah, it was an old demon. And the next thing I know, I'm getting this call from Jeff Ballinger, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do the show. So I go down there, and I told Zach, I said, there's a message here from the demon. I said, you better listen. and you better do what he says because he can kill you. I said, so just pay attention, do what you're supposed to do. I said, well, what's
Well,
the
that's
message? I said,
reassuring,
I'm not
right?
giving you the message till the demon wants me to give you the message. So we started it. We did it like a mini investigation first before the stuff you saw in the actual show. And the demon gave him the message. It says, stop provoking. Stop provoking us. And I told him, I
Well,
said,
that wasn't taken
you
well.
better listen to, he wanted to see what I see. I said, hold my hand and you'll see what I see. Yeah, he didn't like that at all. But I told him, I said, you better listen and you better do it because he can kill you
Yeah.
without even a second thought, and he will. I said, so, just do what he says. And he didn't. And that's the same demon that took his vision in the demon house. It's the same
Yeah.
demon. He didn't listen. You got to listen to the demons. Because what kind of stupid idiot would, not listen to something and provoke something that you can't
Directly.
see, you can't hear, you
Yeah.
can't touch? You know, I mean, and that can kill you. I've seen him pick up a 300-pound man and throw him down the stairs. Let me think about that one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No. I just don't understand why people provoke them. I mean, know, me, I can deal with them, but these people can't
A
deal with
human
them. So
can.
why do they do that? It makes no sense
I
to
have
me whatsoever. Yeah,
I have
no
wondered
sense
that
to me
myself
whatsoever.
for so long. And that particular individual and situation, it's the same thing because he knows they're there because he
Yeah,
provokes
yeah. And
seeking
when
that. So
yeah, because yeah, he pushes the limit. Yeah. And it's like he says, oh, we're there, and he says, get the SLS camera, and we'll, when the demon appears, then we'll point it at. I said, it's not going to do any good. Demons don't show up on SLS cameras. Only human spirits. I said, demons and angels won't show up on that, so you might as well hang that one up. And
yeah,
they used it anyway, and they found out I was right. I'm like, and it's like he said, he's like he once he broke the connection with me, I told him to my hand, and he saw the demon as I see him over against the wall. And then he ripped his hand out of mine. And I'm like, what you don't see on the thing is that he said, at first, it was beautiful. I saw white and it was beautiful. And then it's like a curtain came down and I saw it, the demon.
yeah,
And I'm like, yeah. And, but then he like ran out of the hotel. And I'm like, you know what? And then he calls Billy Tully, who was my cameraman. And he says, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things. And she said, he says, dude, she told you, you're going to see what she sees. You're going to hear what she hears. Come back here so she can take the sight away from you. And so
yeah.
he finally came back and I took it away. But it's like, people just, only 3 people have ever wanted to see what I see. And they all regretted it. Every single one of them.
I'm sure.
And
I have no
usually,
interest in seeing what you see personally.
yeah, usually it's for a reason, for them to understand or them to learn or them to experience it so that they don't want to see it, so that they don't want to deal with it, plain and simple. I don't have a problem with that, but it's not sunshine and roses.
Well,
If
it's
you see
not.
a demon, they're about 7 feet tall, 12-foot wingspan. They're shades of gray and black, but their eyes hold every evil and every atrocity that you could ever think of, and 1,000 times more. You're never the same once you look into their eyes. And I've been
Do they
seeing
ever
that
take
since I was
human
4.5.
form? Do they ever
Yes,
take
yeah,
human
they
form?
can. They cannot take physical form, no, but they can possess. But they cannot ever take human form. But they can possess. They can cause problems. They can possess an animal. They can be bound to an object. Like a few years after I was on the show, Michael came to me and said, listen, you got to go to Vegas. I'm like, no, I hate Vegas. And he's like, you got to go to Vegas because he says the demons are opening up a portal. They want to bring some of their people into the physical world. And I'm like, fine. If I have to go, I have to go. So I end up at Zach Bagans' museum
Yeah,
because
I've
the
been there a
demons
couple of times.
were sending people to him with objects which had negative entity attachments. And so the demons were going to come through this portal they were creating so that they could free their brothers, so to speak, and let themselves into the physical world and start causing your problems. So the place was busy. So there's a lot of people there. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it from the outside. So I went ahead and killed what was there and, destroyed the portal and then went through it, through the museum to make sure I didn't miss anything. Didn't miss anything.
Well, I will say, how long ago was that?
How long ago did we go? 5 or 6 years ago, something like that.
Because I have certain things that I do in Vegas because David plays poker, and usually I'll take a day trip up to one of the national parks
Mm-hmm.
and explore and play and whatever. Went to
Oh
Area
yeah,
51 a couple of years ago, but um, I like Zach Bagans' museum, and it's really
mm-hmm.
interesting because he has things that are not on public display, that are in like separate little
Mm-hmm.
niche rooms and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I have, are you familiar with this divot box?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
Is that really a possessed item, haunted item?
Not anymore.
Mm-mm. Because
That's
the
one of the
first time
demons I took away.
I ever went there, I could hear verbiage, and
Mm-hmm.
then that must have been before you went.
Yeah.
And then I don't go in there every year, but the next time I went, and I love that haunted museum because they do like a nighttime investigation. You can just go and wander through, and
Right.
it's pretty neat to just see the objects that are in there. But the next time I went, there was nothing in that box. There was nothing
No.
associated with that
I
box.
do.
And
Hey, I do good work.
you do good work. I mean, with that, dogs, people, I mean, seriously. But it was so funny because
Oh,
the
hold
first
on a
time I
second.
went was during a, yeah.
Right.
And so just so y'all know, this you can go and investigate at Zach Vegas Haunted Museum. It's in the evenings. You can schedule it. You do have to reserve, but you can go through and investigate. They will
Powerful.
have their own tools and whatever. So, but that first time there were, and they have air vents. I'm sure something was dragging through the sand, and
Plug it in. It's not. Oops, I got to plug myself in here. Hold on a second.
it's okay. You're worth waiting on. I'm just chit chatting
Oops,
so
wrong
people
side.
know what we're talking about. But the divot box is something that there's sand
There we
around
go.
or salt around it, and it looks like dragging through the salt, and the thing's dragging like nails dragging through the salt. And I was like, oh, that's just air vents. Well, then I started looking, and I didn't see where that would have been coming from. It's very well hidden if it was, but I don't think it was. And so, but the voice that was coming out of there was very, very obviously.
Yeah, souls will not protect against against something that's really demon. What they
No,
just laugh
it
at that.
wasn't.
The demons just laugh.
Well, when I went back, because
Mm.
I
The
just
black
wanted to
the
see,
black salt I make does.
it was cool though, because I was there at night when the museum was actually closed, except for these, 20 people that were investigating. And I was just,
Hmm.
I just felt compelled to go check that box out. And I went and I found it, and there was nothing there, nothing at all. And I did not know that you had done that, but you do good work.
Nobody does.
So,
Nobody really did.
I was,
The only
yeah.
thing, there was a gentleman outside that was taking tickets, and he was security. He says, "I know
Mhm,
you." He says, "I was there
mhm.
at the filming of the Ghost Adventures episode." He says,
Yeah,
"You're the demon slayer." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
that's you.
I said, he says, "What are you doing here?" I said, but nobody wanted to be there after the sunset. Everybody was afraid to be there with all those demons. It's just, but the thing is, though, as long as he continues to have that museum, there will, be, people bringing things to him that have attachments because
Yeah.
he's more than willing to take them. And that's why the demons started having people bring stuff there.
He won't take things that scare him home, though. And he does have fear of some of those things.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, he
it
does.
was interesting because if he, well, I don't want to talk about it because I don't know him personally. I just know, information. But he will not, and he has taken stuff home and brought it back to the museum because it wasn't going to stay in his house. And I find that
Yeah, yeah.
interesting
No,
because if you're going to be out provoking, you
yeah, I
you know
had
what
a,
you did.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I had someone come to me about 3 or 4 years ago, and this guy's like, I flip houses for a living, he says. I said, okay. He says, there was a house I was working on that had been in a fire. And he said, we were in there, and there was one area, it was about 2 feet by 2 feet. He says, and it was square. And that's the only part that didn't burn in the house on the floor. He says they couldn't figure it out. They pulled it up, they pulled up the boards, and there was a book in there, an ancient book of,
Ah,
you know, demons. And I said, send me a picture of the front of it. Do not open the book. So he sent me a picture. I said, that was taken from the Vatican's archives. I said, that's
get
a
out.
very old book. No. And I says, it's full of demonics and how to conjure them and how to bring them into this world. And I said, he says, ever since I found it, he's been nothing but problems, a lot of bad things happening and stuff. I said, yeah. I said, hold of the Vatican that you tell them that get out of, they'll send someone out to get it.
Yeah. So the Vatican sent someone to
They
get it?
sent somebody out to get it. Can you?
Holy crap. Well, I'm glad they did
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah. And
that was, that had to
yeah,
be
I
so
said, you opened the
powerful.
book, didn't you? And he said, yeah, we did.
Oh
That's
dear.
good. Scared the little daylights out of him.
I bet it did. I'm sorry. Yes.
So
Here, this is
it
how
went
you
back
do
where it
that.
belonged, into the archives of the Vatican.
Were you able to get rid of what he let out?
Hmm. You have to do, you know.
Yeah.
People come to me with the strangest things. I'm telling you. You know, it's like, no, I'm not going to take that off your hands. It's like, are you
No,
out of your mind?
absolutely not. That is just,
He's like, what if I burn it? I said, if you burn it, you'll let them all loose.
mhm. Yeah.
It's like people
You
don't
don't,
think
I
about it.
mean,
You know, they don't think about the consequences. So who knows how long that had been buried in the floorboards? You know.
yeah. Well, we are almost out of time. I have just enough time for you to tell people where to find your books and where to find you if they need to. Do you want to?
I couldn't hear you. You went blank for a second.
I, I said I've got just enough time for you to tell people where to find you. And are you there?
You went blank again. You went blank again. I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Okay. Well, I was saying if you want to let people know where to find your books, we have unleashed something here. Um, I will do it. You can find June's books on Amazon. You can find June on um, Facebook. You can find her books, Demon Slayer, or her Demon Slayer books are fantastic. All of her books are fantastic. I've read them. You will enjoy that for every minute that you get. She is,
You can
if
find me
you
at
need her,
misconnection.
oh, there you are. Well, I was just trying to tell people that they could
We're back.
find, yes. But your first book, A Medium's Guide to the Paranormal,
Yeah, all my
is
books are
also
available on Amazon, and
on
they're
Amazon.
available. Hmm.
What is your website?
Yeah, all of them are on Amazon. They're also audiobooks now. So
Yes. Well, get them there and enjoy every one of them. And Jean, I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you. I love every time we get to talk.
thanks for having me. As usual, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun
Always.
talking to you and catching up. Yeah.
Yes. And I just appreciate you so much. So I'm looking forward to the next time already. We always have fun. So
We've got to get it better. See, I told you the demons don't like me talking about. They're messing with our
I
connection.
know, right? Yes, I know. I'm used to that, right? So it happens every time we talk about them. But I am going to say that we've got to
Right? You
go.
should be used to it. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. And we will see you next week. Same cat time, same cat channel. And
All
go
right.
get your
Take care of
subscription
yourself.
for free.
I had
You
fun.
too. I did too. Thank you. And